Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Task 55. We're going to do 3 more shapes in this video. Just as a reminder, Task 55 involves modeling 9 different block shapes and laying them out on one straight axis and putting your name on at least one block. So let's keep going. So far we've modeled 6 blocks in this particular version, and we're going to do 3 more right here for the total of 9. So in order to get this started, we are going to use a new sketch to create our next block. I want to sketch on the front plane, and I'm going to look at it from the front perspective. I think next I will do the half, it kind of looks like a half circle. So first, I want to start by using my circle tool. I'm going to grab the center point circle. Notice when I put I'm going to try to zoom in a bit here. If I put my mouse in an area that is going to intersect with the x-axis, I get this dotted orange line, and I also get the horizontal constraint symbol. Note that's that little line near my cursor. You see that little line appearing? So we actually do want that to happen. We want to be on the x-axis, so let's go ahead and put a point down on the x-axis somewhere. Draw a circle. We are immediately prompted to enter the diameter over here. I'm going to measure my diameter is 1.3. Okay, and we are going to also use the line tool to kind of cut across here. So I'm intersecting with one side of the circumference of the circle. I'm making my way. In order to really bisect the circle and cut it in half, we have to go through, make sure you're going through the center, whatever line you draw, and then we have to also intersect with the other side of the circles. You can see my constraints there. I have a horizontal line, I have a tangent constraint. That's all good. So I'm going to click there to put my line down. I'm still in the line tool. I can press escape. The escape tool key will get me out. The other option is I could right click and choose escape line. And there I go. Okay, so we have drawn a circle, we have drawn a line along the kind of coincident with the x-axis here to cut the circle in half. And now we're going to use the trim tool. The trim tool looks like a pair of scissors. We're going to click there, and we are going to remove the bottom half of the circle. This is what we need. We've got our shape. We now need to extrude it, right, so that it actually looks like a block. So let's get the extrude key, the extrude tool. We're clicking right on our half circle, and we need to declare what the depth is. So you should check your dimensions. I'm checking mine with my calipers. All right, and like the other shapes, we're going to assign a color here. Let me see. I've done blue, red, a little bit of green and orange. How about some purple? I think I'll do purples today. Okay, and we're going to also edit, part 7. We're going to assign a material. Any material that is made of wood will be acceptable. And there we go. So Shape number 7 is all done. Let's move on to what I call the bridge shape. We're going to start a new sketch. What sketch plane? Of course, we want the front. And I'm going to start by, this one is kind of fun to think about. This shape basically looks like a rectangle with a half circle cut out of it. How would you make that? Well, kind of the way I just described it. We're going to start with a rectangle. We're going to define the dimensions of the rectangle, right? So I'm hoping that you're working through this with your own calipers. I'm not going to sort of keep dictating the measurements because I want you to define them yourself based on your own measurements. But I'm going to do my own estimation here, and I want you to really detect your own precise measurement with your own calipers. All right, so I'm not putting in the correct measurements. I want you guys to define your own measurements. My shapes are overlapping. What can I do about that? I'm going to try to separate them by defining the distance that they should be apart. So right now these shapes are 1.08 apart. I'm going to make them, I'm going to try 1.4. It's a little bit better, but I'd like more space. I'll go for 1.6. Great. Okay, so we have a rectangle. The next step is that we really need to have the half circle cut out of it. So let me see, let me look at this from the front again. I want to make sure that I have a half circle cut out. We're doing this shape here, and that cutout should be centered on the horizontal. So let's see what we can do about that. I think if we want to center anything, we're going to need a midpoint. So I'm going to grab the construction tool and the point tool. And how do I know when I have a midpoint? Remember, we have to look for the midpoint constraint while we're hovering. Oh, I see it. Did you see it? Just appeared? Okay. So I'm going to click right here to make a midpoint. And I'm going to get out of these tools. I'm going to grab the circle tool, start my circle at the midpoint. There's my circle, and what is the diameter of this particular circle? I'm going to use the small jaws of my calipers since I'm kind of measuring the inside of something. So make sure you're using the jaws on the top of the caliper, not the bottom. We often use the bottom to measure the outside of something. All right, I'm not going to put in an accurate measurement because I want you to kind of look this up yourself with your calipers. Okay, and now that we have that, we have our rectangle, we have our circle. We just really need to start removing things. So let's use our trim tool. I'm going to remove this half of the circle. I'm going to remove these lines and even the midpoint. Actually, maybe the midpoint is useful. Let's keep the midpoint. All right. That way, we know our circle is centered. Okay, so we are going to accept our sketch and make it three-dimensional. Let's use the extrude tool. Which face are we extruding? Well, our new shape, of course. And what is the distance here. The depth is going to be, okay, I've just measured it. I want you to measure it yourself, of course. So I'm not putting in the exact right measurement. And we need to assign an appearance, of course, and the material. I'm going to stick with purple. And of course, I want to make sure I note the wooden material. We're going to be such experts at this. This is our 8th shape. We're going on number 9. Number 9 is the cylinder. We're going to go for this shape next, the cylinder. So let's start a new sketch for the 9th shape. We're sketching on the front plane again. Let's look at it from the front again. And let's make sure we are, let me see, do I have enough room here? I think I'll zoom out a little bit. And I'm going to use the revolve, well, I want to use the revolve tool in order to make this cylinder. So let me start by measuring out a rectangle, a new rectangle, and we'll make sure that we kind of cut it in half so we'll get a good revolve. First we need to enter the height. I'm getting, again, I'm not going to put in the exact measurement because I don't want to rob you of the chance to use your calipers. They're so much fun. And the whole point is to get practice with calipers. So let's go for, I'm going to put in my own measurement here. Okay. And so in order to, we basically just measured out the diameter of our cylinder and the height of our cylinder. But in order to use the revolve tool, I actually need only half of this rectangle. I'm going to show you what I mean. We're going to use another construction point, and we'll make it a midpoint here, and a midpoint here. We'll get the line tool to connect them. Wait, this is ending up being a construction line. Let me do that again. I don't want this construction tool to be selected. I want only the line tools to be selected. So there we go. And we're going to use the trim tool. I bet you guessed this. To remove the parts that we're not using. Okay, and we can accept that sketch now. This is basically a rectangle that has the height of our cylinder and half of the diameter of the cylinder, which is actually equal to the radius, right? Diameter is half of the radius. So in order to make this rectangular shape into a 3-dimensional model, we're going to use the revolve. What face do we want to revolve? Well, how about our new shape there? And then what is the revolve axis? What is it going to turn on? Let's pick a side. I think maybe we'll revolve around this side of the rectangle. Wait a minute. Revolve axis. This might go better if I'm looking at it directly. There we go. So the revolve axis is asking you what line should we rotate about. So I'm going to rotate about there. And let's see how it came out. Oh my goodness, it's a cylinder. Perfect. So we need to now assign the color and the appearance, right? I think we've gotten really good at this. I'm editing the appearance. And I'm going to assign balsa wood again. And I think we're good. So we have how many shapes? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So all 9 shapes are here. Your next step is that you need to put your name on one of the shapes. I think you guys know how to do that at this point. When you submit, would you please pick, I don't think we can do this with all of them at once. Pick one sketch, and would you please show dimensions on your sketch so that I can kind of see what you were measuring while you were working. Okay, I think we're in good shape. Make sure you put your name on your project and show dimensions for one shape. Good luck with the project.